In 1803, a strange vessel, unlike anything seen before, was found drifting off the coast of Japan. Inside the boat was an enigmatic woman, her features foreign, her language incomprehensible, and her origins unknown. At the time, Japan was an isolated nation, its shores rarely breached by outsiders. Wars raged within. Shoguns and daimyos rose and fell, and dynasties flourished, all while the wider world was largely oblivious. After banning nearly all foreign interactions in the early 1600s, Japan remained largely isolated from the outside world until the 1850s. Japan's isolation was so strict that any Japanese citizen who left the country and tried to return could face death. Yet, this curious event, occurring decades before Japan's doors were opened to the world, continues to puzzle scholars today. Was the vessel a product of some distant culture? Could it have been something more extraordinary, perhaps even otherworldly? A UFO. A strange vessel. In February or March of 1803, local fishermen were going about their daily routines when they spotted an unusual vessel adrift nearby. Intrigued by its small size and peculiar appearance, they decided to tow it ashore. Once on land, the villagers observed that the boat resembled an incense burner or koro. Shaped like a spinning top, the vessel measured only 11 feet tall and 18 feet wide. Its bottom was made of steel, and the upper part featured lacquered rosewood with clear glass windows. As the villagers inspected the vessel, a hatch suddenly opened, revealing their second surprise of the day. A woman, unlike anything they had ever seen. She stood 5 feet tall, with pale skin and striking red hair, the ends of which were bright white, either dusted with powder or interwoven with fur. The boat's interior held water and other supplies, suggesting she had planned the voyage to some extent. Mysterious markings adorned the cabin's walls. Though friendly, the woman spoke a language the villagers could not understand, and it soon became apparent that she did not understand them either. She also clung tightly to a box about 2 feet long, refusing to let it go. A local elder recalled hearing of a similar incident in another village years prior. He believed the woman was a foreign princess, exiled for defying an arranged marriage and choosing her true love instead. Her lover, he claimed, was executed, and she was banished. The box she held so desperately, he speculated, contained her lover's severed head. The elder advised that sending her back to sea was a merciful act, aligning with her fate, and suggested the villagers do the same. Fearing the governmental scrutiny that would follow if they harbored the foreign woman, the villagers heeded his advice. They returned her to the vessel, which they called the Utsurobune, or hollow boat, and pushed it back into the sea, leaving her destiny to the waves. This story, while easily dismissed as legend, was extensively documented in multiple historical texts between 1815 and 1844, including the Oshikuzaki, Toen Shusetsu, Horyukishu, and Ume no Chiri. While the finer details vary, the core story remains consistent. Unraveling a mystery. A closer examination of the Utsurobune mystery reveals that it is part of a broader tradition in Japan, one that features tales of solitary women arriving on strange vessels. One such account dates back to May 1698, when a strange boat allegedly docked at Toyohashi. In that incident, a lone woman reportedly emerged from the oddly shaped craft, attempted to communicate with the people of Toyohashi, and eventually, unable to make herself understood, sailed off toward Nagasaki to try again. Other legends follow a similar pattern. A mysterious woman appears in an unusual vessel and either remains with the locals or departs, never to be seen again. Despite being documented, these stories often reference people or places that seem to have never existed. They are recorded as facts in various publications, blurring the lines between history and folklore. Several historical connections can be drawn between the characteristics of the Utsuro Bune legend and the wider world beyond Japan. For instance, the woman's description bears a striking resemblance to the clothing and hairstyles popular in Russia during the late 1700s. This connection was first noted by early Japanese historian Kyokute Bakin, who in 1844 investigated the various claims surrounding the Utsuro Bune. Kyokute based his observations on the accounts of Daiokuya Kodayu, a Japanese castaway who lived in Russia from 1782 to 1792. Some speculate that the strange markings inside the vessel could be Russian script, though recreations of these symbols show no resemblance to Cyrillic characters. There's also the possibility that the Utsuro Bune story is a modern retelling of the origin of the Kono clan, a well-known legend in Japan at the time. This tale tells of a 7th century fisherman who found a 13-year-old girl floating in a hollow boat in the middle of the sea. The girl revealed herself to be the daughter of the Chinese emperor, fleeing her abusive stepmother. She later married a prince from the Iyo province, and their son became the founder of the Kono clan. Clearly, the idea of a foreign woman washing ashore in a strange vessel was not novel to the Japanese, and it is possible that the Utsuro Bune legend was heavily influenced by this popular story. Sekou. Perhaps the most plausible explanation for the tale lies in the centuries-long isolationism imposed by Japan's rulers. Japan's geographical position naturally lent itself to isolation for millennia, but as European nations advanced their seafaring technology and began exploring the world, Japan encountered a growing number of Portuguese and Dutch trading vessels. Concerned about the influence of European technology and the religious ideals of Jesuit missionaries, Shogun Tokugawa Iemitsu enacted the policy of Sakoku in 1603. Sakoku was a nationwide effort to reject foreign trade and exploration. With the exception of a tightly regulated Dutch outpost on a tiny artificial island called Dejima in Nagasaki Harbor, outsiders were effectively banned from Japan. The details of the Utsuro Bune story suggest that it was designed to reinforce proper behavior toward foreigners. The woman's red hair not only marked her as a foreigner, but specifically as a European, a group often regarded with suspicion during Japan's isolation. In Japanese folklore, red hair was frequently associated with demons, suggesting that the woman may have been perceived as a demonic European, the very kind of influence Sakoku sought to repel. The woman's status as a princess likely ties back to the older Japanese legends, but the villagers' decision to send her back to sea reflects the expectations placed upon the Japanese population. When confronted with a foreigner, especially a woman, they were to swiftly and effectively expel them from the country. The UFO Theory. Despite the historical connections that can be drawn from the fate of the Utsuro Bune, some believe that the explanation for the story lies not in earthly traditions, but in the stars. Supporters of this theory point to two main pieces of evidence: the shape of the boat and the mysterious drawings found within it. Illustrations of the Utsuro Bune from the 1800s bear a striking resemblance to the iconic flying saucer, a shape that would not become widely recognized until the 20th century. This connection is partly based on the absence of comparable designs from other cultures of that era. Scholars have yet to identify any ocean-going seafaring vessels from the Edo period that match the unusual form described in these accounts. Similarly, the symbols depicted in various documents recounting the event remain unidentifiable. One theory is that these symbols were either imagined or misinterpreted by those who documented the encounter. However, UFO theorists argue that these symbols represent alien script, characters from a language not of this earth. They contend that the symbols cannot be matched to any known alphabet because they originate from an extraterrestrial source. Enthusiasts of the UFO theory view the legend of the Utsuro Bune as evidence of pre-modern extraterrestrial contact, a close encounter of the third kind. The lack of firm historical evidence means that, while unlikely, the UFO theory cannot be entirely dismissed. Was the Utsuro Bune a real UFO encounter, or simply a tale designed to ward off foreign influence? Let me know in the comments. As always, thank you for watching Dark 5. Like and subscribe to continue exploring the greatest mysteries of this world and beyond.